Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Dan Robinson back to the program, the mastermind behind the Shroud of Bereavement. Dan, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Got a little bit of a cold, but I'm doing pretty all right. How about yourself?
I am doing well. The cold thing seems to be universal, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody I know sick.
Yeah. So last time we talked, you had a CD coming out. You were doing T-shirts and everything. We were sort of doing, the big push on that. And
Mhm.
since then, I've watched a lot of your journey along the way, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what goes into creating music, what goes into getting it out there to the masses, the work that goes behind it, along with trying to maintain a full-time job and a life and raise kids. Sound good?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Let's start with the music end of it. Everybody thinks, being a musician is this real glamorous thing, being in a band, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it is your passion, and it shows in your work. But along with that becomes, a ton of work along with it. But talk a little bit about your passion for music, how it started, how it evolved.
Um, it started when I heard Master of Puppets. That changed my life for the most part. Made me start bugging my dad to buy me a drum set, and that happened. And then me and my brother created some music together. We used to always jam, so that kind of got me really wanting to play more music, And then going through the teenage years with all the peer pressure and the depression, all the shit you go through when you're at that age, you know.
Absolutely.
Uh, I've I got my first interview to a band, so I went and I became a singer, and we did a lot of shows. And my first show, man, that inspired me so much. Like the feeling you get when you're on stage. The first show I ever played live was with Deicide. Well, I didn't play in Deicide, but my band played with Deicide. We were one of the open acts for
Yeah,
that band.
wow.
And I didn't know what to expect. They're just like, yeah, I'd started the band maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before that. So I was ready to play. I was pretty in practice and stuff, but I had no idea what being on stage was going to be, what it would be like, whatever. And got on stage and my leg was shaking so bad because I was so nervous. And then that first burst of energy came in, and it was like taking a drug. It was amazing.
Yeah. The
And then,
audience reaction is so powerful.
yeah, oh, definitely. And then after that, you just want to do it all the time. So I quit school to become a rock star, and ended up not becoming a rock star and becoming a mason. And that is what I used to pay for, being a musician. And after that band broke up or whatever, I started Shroud to deal with all of my own internal issues, and the creating side would kind of help me deal with all that stuff mentally.
So sort of as a catharsis type thing.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very
I had a
cool.
shitty childhood. We all did. But dealing with all that kind of stuff, and your first love, your first breakup, all the shit you go through when you're a kid, it really
Yeah,
helped. It helped me.
indeed. Indeed. Now, when it comes to like writing, say when you were in school, was writing something you enjoyed? Was English something you enjoyed, or did you rather just go out? We were like a journal keeper, something like that.
I always wrote lyrics, but probably starting when I was like 14, I did like poems.
Hmm.
So I guess it would all seem to have started with the lyric stuff. So I think that just kind of became part of the norm. I'd always write words. And then when I wrote music, I was like, wow, I got all these lyrics. I can stick with these songs. So then at some point, the music writing came first, and then the lyrics would either be left over or I write new lyrics, and it would inspire me to do that. So they kind of work together, you
Yeah.
know.
So with lyrics, were you like one of these big time readers, or
No, no,
really?
I get ADD, so I can't make it through a book.
Okay.
That
Okay.
explains my music too. I have to just keep changing and moving on to new things, so
Mhm.
kind of keeps me sane by changing so many things. But I never really was much of a reader.
Hmm. So you just draw for lyrics wise, it's basically all like personal experience, or things you
Yeah.
maybe heard about or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were bands that were inspiring me when I first started the Shroud stuff. I was, My Dying Bride and Candlemass and Anathema, Parameseum, all those type of bands were kind of inspiring me to want to go to the deepest, darkest place that I could.
Yeah.
And a lot of it though was love loss, when you heartache
Hmm.
and death, people dying around you,
Yeah.
that kind of shit.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. How about like when it came to learning instruments? Were you one of these guys that can play by ear? Did you take lessons? How did that evolve?
I am like 99% taught by ear, but when I first got the drums, my father got me lessons. So I probably took maybe 6 months of lessons, maybe less,
Mm.
rudiments, doing like paradiddles and little things on the snare drum. And I remember going to him saying, I want to play this Nuclear Assault song. And he kind of helped me learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to start if you're a musician or an aspiring musician. You start with the drums so that you have a solid rhythm. Once your timing is good, then everything else kind of falls into place.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Did you
For
work
me,
on bass at all too?
bass guitar.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of one of those instruments you pick up because you have to. For me, I don't like the bass, but I play it because it's part of the band and I want it to have its own voice, of course.
Sure.
But like I play the bass, but I'm not like a awesome bassist and I don't really enjoy playing the bass. So I try to get other people to play it for me. But if I get stuck playing it, I will.
Yeah. I hear ya. So you get these bands together and now you want to go into the studio. How
Hmm.
did that come about?
Actually, a really good friend of mine, Matt Hydas, he was in this local kind of like folk alt rock band back in the early 90s called Mr. Vertigo. And he had a lot of hookups at this local studio called Dizzyland. And the engineer that worked at that studio happened to be a violin player. So it kind of worked out for me because I played Doom and I was always wanting a violin player. So I think him being a violinist kind of sold me more than the actual studio. But the studio was run by, you ever heard of the band Nevada Beach?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
guy that owns this studio used to be in that band, Hank
Okay.
Decadent.
What was their hit? Something to do with summer, wasn't it?
Oh, geez. I honestly, I wasn't a fan of like any of the, I guess you could say cock rock. I don't know what you call it. Like the
Yeah.
hair metal bands.
Yeah.
I know
Oh.
he was endorsed by Jackson Guitars, and I remember seeing his name, and I was like, oh, I want that Jackson, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But
Oh,
that guy can come up with a metal sound, man. I did one song there, and he just came over and I used his amazing amplifier. It was awesome. It was a Marshall Jubilee, but it was modded and it had such a sick tone. And I remember first time I ever touched him, like, man, I don't know how to work this thing. And he just comes over and pressed two knobs, and it was like the sickest guitar sound I ever had on a recording.
oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So
Yeah.
what was it like, you talk about playing live. What was it like going into the studio?
Oh, it was weird because at the time I had been I had a little digital 8-track recorder. So I was really used to that format. And before that, I was used to use a 4-track a lot, but I didn't know anything about studio stuff like real gear, compressors and
Yeah.
EQs and all these reel to reels and stuff that they have in a studio. For me, it was just like all in one little thing. You press buttons and that's all you do. So when I went there, I was comfortable. I was very practiced and ready to roll, but I was kind of overwhelmed by all the stuff that was going on. I had no idea what they were talking about. I was like, well, I don't know what that means. And so it was comforting to be doing something that I loved and learning at the same time. That was really cool. And I enjoyed it because at the end, I had no idea my music would sound that good when we did Rose, that song.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So now, with the way things are now, you can do so much at home, which is where
Yeah,
I've seen you having a lot of frustration since our last conversation with trying to
ab-
figure stuff out and everything.
absolutely.
Again, this is something you're sort of learning on the fly, so to speak, right? Because I mean,
Yeah,
technology's changing so freaking fast nowadays, anyways.
Yeah, these last couple of years, I just put on like a whole bunch of different hats at once, even though I didn't have the qualification to do it. I said, I want to make videos. I don't want to pay someone to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I want to record my album. I don't want to pay someone else. I don't want to rely on someone to blow me off. So I'll just learn it myself. And that's kind of how I just jumped into doing all this shit at once. And I have a friend, Bob Mishu, who's another old friend from way back in the day. And he had a pretty decent studio and he's been building it up. And he was like, you know, you need to buy the Apollo 8. You need to buy this thing. You should buy that, get this. And he kind of taught me how to use the software a little bit. And another friend, Aaron Hill, who's a local guy, who we're going to be working with those two guys actually for this next album. So it's cool that we had this long running relationship over the last 10 years between the different projects I'm on. I always call those two guys to help me out of a pinch, you know?
Yeah.
So those two guys in particular, lately, kind of like the Aaron guy helped me with my electronic drums, which I never would have figured out how to use. Bob told me to buy a Mac. He taught me to buy a lot of the, you know, outboard equipment, and it still frustrates me to this day. Like 2 weeks ago, my drums stopped working for no reason. More than 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I got it fixed. So it was like down for like a month for no reason. A friend came over, like, yeah, let's jam. He asked me to play drums on his band, and we start jamming, and it just stopped working. I couldn't figure out why. It pissed me off, and it just sat because I don't know how to fix it. It sat for weeks. And
Yeah.
finally, that guy Bob came by and said, "Oh, it was because the MIDI input was blah blah blah." And I'm like, I don't know what a fucking MIDI input is and all this shit, you know.
Yeah.
It's real frustrating, really bad. You know, it happens all the time. Shit crashes. You don't know why. And for me, the biggest part is like when I turn my guitar on, because I'm older and I got so much shit in my life going on, like the moment that the free time that I actually have to spend on music, I need to do right now, right? Like because
Yes.
it'll be gone, you know, and then I'll turn the guitar on and like, oh, this is fucked up. That's not working. This doesn't work. And then I spend all my time that I was inspired on trying to figure out to get the software to work. And then by the time it works, my inspiration's gone.
Yeah. Yes,
That's really
exactly.
frustrating.
Yeah, you go from being, a creative mind to a mechanical mind, and those are two
Yeah,
different, two completely different wavelengths right there.
absolutely.
Um, so now you're in the you've got stuff recorded. You send it away to get your CDs that you want. You're getting your T-shirts print up. Now you're putting yourself out there on social media, taking orders and everything. You've got to fill them. You've got to get them to the post office. I saw one story. We were waiting in line at one point, and somebody got pissed off at you because you had so many packages or something. And it's
That, oh my God, I could not believe that actually happened. So like I go there and you know, I work all week, so I don't have a lot of time. Saturday is kind of like my one day that I'll rest up because my body's so sore. I don't feel good until like 10 or 11 o'clock, you know?
yeah,
Like I'll get up at 5 in the morning, but my body just hurts. So I'm just like, I'm gonna do nothing and just do social media, do whatever.
right.
So I get up and I went there. I'm like, all right, 11 o'clock. They close at 1. I got a couple hours, whatever. I go down there and I had like, I don't know, 15 or 16 international orders, one from Hong Kong, one from, you know, Netherlands, whatever, and then a whole bunch of local ones. And so I go in and I have a big pack and I'm like, sorry, dude, I got a lot. If you got time, cool. He's like, yeah, hold on. And there were a couple customers ahead of me and then a couple behind me. And I was like, hey, if you guys want to go now, I'm going to be here for a while. So when I let people go, I was being courteous and nice to everybody.
Yeah.
So we get there and finally I get like 2 packages done. And this lady comes behind me. She's like, are you going to be long? I'm like, actually, there's a post office up the street in Hampstead. You could go there because I'm going to be here for a while and I'd hate to see you wait the whole time and then like lose your opportunity. She goes, no, I'm going to sit right here in line and he's going to take care of me. I'm like, well, they close at 1. So we only got, you know, like at that point, I think we had like an hour. Well, no, 45 minutes left. I was like, we only got 45 minutes. I got a lot of packages. It takes 15 minutes to do one international. I'm probably not going to get mine done. You may not want to wait. I'm waiting, and that's it. I'm waiting. I don't care. When this place closes, he's still going to take care of me because I'm the customer and customer comes first. And she's like, how dare you? You know, it's not fair that my kid's not going to get their present today because you had to come here and take everybody's time up. I'm like, are you shitting me right now?
Yeah.
Like, I go to the post office 2 times a year before the album came out. I hadn't been to the post office in a long time. I'm like, how dare, I was so fucking mad. that this bitch had the balls to say that to me. And I was nice to her. I didn't say anything mean,
Yeah, yeah.
but that was frustrating.
But and leading up to that, though, you have to, you have to make the social media post. You have to get everybody's info, take everybody's order. You're dealing with, PayPal and all that. You're dealing with getting the design of the shirt in, getting the shirts, making sure the shirts are good. Same way with the CDs.
Oh, that's
Again,
another
talk
thing.
about the tremendous amount of work that goes into that.
Designing the album cover and all the artwork was another one, because before this album, I never ever touched any software for like editing pictures or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, oh, I could do this, no problem. I took a bunch of really cool pictures on my GoPro. I'm like, I'm going to put them on there, put some filters. And then the album cover itself was done by a really good friend of mine who was amazing, way better than me. So she'd send me this stuff and be like, okay, now send me that. And I'm like, I don't know how to send it to her. I don't know how to do this. I'll put the picture on and I'll spend hours getting all these pictures really great. The album artwork, whatever, all the text, everything's good. And I go to send it off and they're like, oh, your text is wrong. And this color doesn't work right because the lighting on your computer isn't the same as printing. So when it comes out, it's going to look different. And you have to shrink that text down and this and that and all this. I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So now I'm like stressing out, like, I don't know how to do this. I'm asking my friends and they're all like, sorry, you have to buy this $6,000 software. That's how it'll work for you. Because I'm using my Mac. With everything I've done has been stuff that came on this $3,500 Mac that I bought, all the free software.
Yeah.
But like just trying to figure all the artwork out and how to resize the thing to get it right. They're like, you have to go 2,300 by 17, whatever the numbers were.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do that. So everything was like a challenge throughout the whole process. But doing it all, people don't realize how much work you go through. I even looked online to ask people if they'll help me. And they're like, yeah, I'll help you. It'll be $600 for one picture. I'm like, to paint me one picture would be $600. I have like 16 inlay CD. So there's 16 times I'm gonna pay $600 for each one. That's all that money you got to come up with. And then you got to pay
Right.
someone to press the CDs and press this, make the shirts, pay for this, pay for that, promotion, guest appearances. There's so much work and money that people don't understand that's behind it all. And then they're like, oh, you're charging money, you shouldn't make money. And they get all mad if you like. I went into this knowing I'm not going to make any money back. I'll be lucky if I make any of my investment back. So from start to finish, I probably put $20,000 of my money into this project.
Yeah.
And at the end, I think I put, I don't know, like $2,500 between the CD and the t-shirts. And the only money I ever made back was the money I put into the t-shirt and the CD. I didn't make money back on the mastering or the pressing or the recording, the engineering, the mastering, the mixing, all that stuff's extra.
Yeah.
And then the only money you really make is on like streams. Like you have to get millions of views to get $1 on Spotify. So there's so much other shit. And then I started a label. So I'm trying to run a label and promote that and do 2 other albums and do video. And there's so much shit I'm trying to do.
And amongst all this, you alluded to this earlier, you're working a full-time job as doing masonry work, which
I run
is
a business. I run a masonry business and I
on
work.
top of that.
Yeah.
Which is all right. First off, you're doing very physical back-breaking work outside, in the summer, in the fall. I mean, now's not horrible, I guess, because it's not 99 degrees and humid, but you're
Yeah.
still working, So
Mhm.
you got to work and you got to run that business and go through all that crap with making sure you're
I got my
OSHA, your
workers. I got
workman's
to get
comp.
my insurance,
Yeah.
materials, job estimates, job invoices, all that stuff I do. Like after I work my 8-hour day, I'll come home and do that for another 4 hours every day.
Right. And then create some music.
Yeah, when I have time.
And on top of that, you got a wife and kids. You got to
Yeah.
have the family time,
Yes. Yeah.
How do you manage to squeeze any of that in?
I'll come home from work, do my thing. My wife works from home, so she works till 9 o'clock. The kids got their friends now. They're finally getting old enough.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's going to be 17. My son is 19. He's going to the Navy real soon.
Oh, cool.
So the kids are getting older. They're doing their thing, but I still want to see them. So we have dinner together every night. We try to spend some time together.
Absolutely.
So it's like do I want to spend time with my wife? Do I want to do music? Do I want to see my kids? What do I want to do tonight? And you just gotta make it work,
Yeah, yeah. And that's life today, as a rock and roll star, correct?
Well, I mean, I'm probably in one of the smallest genres in metal, so there's
Yeah.
not a lot of fans in this genre to begin with. So
But you talk about how you do all this and the money that you put in and the frustration of doing it all, and the times you just want to rip your hair out and just say, screw this, I've had enough. I'm just gonna, work my day job and then just come home and sit in a freaking hammock, all night. But
yeah,
then you start getting reviews from Europe. You're sending packages to the Netherlands. You get guys like me who want to interview you and talk to you. That's sort of the payoff, correct?
yeah. I mean, just hearing from fans that I didn't even know that I had, or fans that are still around since the 90s, it's really cool. And then you get a good review that makes you feel good about yourself, and people interviewing you, and all these awesome opportunities. I don't know if you saw the post a couple weeks, like 2 weeks ago, I think I did an interview on Metal Messiah Radio.
Yeah, I saw your post.
That was the most inviting. Like, before that interview, like the whole like month before that, I was like ready to kill myself. Not for real kill, you know what I mean? I was just depressed and bummed out, really
Yeah.
bummed out, feeling bad about, oh, I hate the album I put out. I'm not good enough. Nobody cares. Poor me bullshit. I was doing that. And they're like, oh, come on, do the interview. And I come on, and he said some awesome things. He played like the whole album on his radio show, the whole album. He played, I was like, this guy's amazing. And I didn't realize until after the thing was done that they had a chat room. So I started talking after we did the interview part. And we're
Sure.
talking, and there's like 15 different DJs that belong to that radio. And they're all like, hey, we're going to push the CD. The CD's really good. And it just made me feel so good about myself. Like I hadn't felt that good. I was almost in tears. I felt so awesome. It'd been so long since I felt good. It feels like it's been a long time, but back
Yeah.
in, I think we put the album out in July. So what's it now?
November.
It's only been 3 months.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
and
goes quick.
that's the thing, basic human emotion. We all want to be liked. We all want to be loved. We all want to put out, an album, or, I want to put out this interview and have everybody say, oh, this is the best interview I've ever heard, type thing. And when we don't always get that immediate gratification, that's when those doubts creep in. And you
Yes.
got to kind of look for that silver lining, and like you say, take these opportunities to talk to Metal Messiah, check out your social medias and see, and then sit down and process it. Holy shit, I'm sitting here in New Hampshire, I put this album out, and there's somebody over in the freaking Netherlands that wants my t-shirt now. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
mind-blowing.
It really is. It's amazing. It's like, I mean, it's a dream come true when someone says something like that. You're just like, that's all I needed to hear, and I'll be good for another 6 months,
Yeah, yeah,
But eventually it comes down again. And for me, I always come down on myself and be like, and I don't feel good until I start making more music or doing some kind of project. That's why I'm lately, now that my wife's gone, I'm just like, if I sit around the house and do nothing, I'll just get depressed and be sore and miserable laying in bed. I'm just like, nope, I'm going to make myself do something, even if nobody cares. I made 2 videos this week. That's what I'm doing. And then last week I started on the next Shroud album. So I started transfers in the studio. So I've been real busy
yeah,
on purpose,
yeah. But I mean, along with that, what's driving you is a passion, and it sounds like, a thirst almost for things, would be a way I think I could describe it, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's another thing that, that feels like when you first take a drug or something like that, when you accomplish something from nothing, when you finish a song, you might have a whole album ahead of you, but with that first song you make, the feeling that you get when you're like, oh, I finished something, or I made a really great idea, that makes you want to do more.
mhm,
Like, wow, I really enjoyed the melody I just came up with. I want to rock that out a little bit. And you stop playing,
right,
doing layers over it and jamming it out and everything. And it leaves you longing for more,
yeah.
you know?
Do you find um that you have to apply almost the same thing. I heard Paul Stanley say this once. Everybody can be a rock star no matter what you do. You know, whether you are a bona fide a person in a band being a rock star, or you are someone doing masonry work, somebody working in a grocery store like I do, you know, somebody parking cars. You can be a freaking rock star as with the drive and the passion and this thirst, this sense of accomplishment. And once you get something done, you know, it makes you want to do more. Do you
Very
find
true.
you apply that, like, say, in your job as a mason?
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, it I like at the end of the day where I can walk away and say, hey, that's going to be standing after I die. Someone 100 years from now could be looking at that saying, wow, I wonder who built that, or just admiring the way it looks, or someone could be like, wow, that looks like shit, you know, whatever they're saying. Someone's talking about you 100 years from now. That's a really great feeling. And even before that, just getting done saying, wow, I just built that. I kicked ass on that today. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah,
And you go in and you kick ass and you get paid for it, then you kind of feel like a rock star, you know, like I just made some really good money for kicking ass.
exactly, exactly. You know, and I think that's what a lot of people have to realize. You know, we can all be stars in our own worlds. You
Yeah,
know,
that notion could be taken anywhere in life. It's
exactly.
such great advice, or if you look at it as a proverb or something like that, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think human nature, it kind of goes down to like our prehistoric days, like we hunter gatherers, we need to do something. And I think there's too much complacency and people are just not doing enough stuff. You just
Mhm.
taking a walk will make you feel good sometimes, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So going forward now, I mean, obviously you're making videos, you're creating music, you're doing stuff. What's the next thing we can expect to see pop up on your social media?
I actually just put a link yesterday to, oh, well, I'll go back a little bit. I started the record label, as I'd mentioned earlier, and I've been fighting with the old label forever. Like, so when I put the last album out, when you search the name of the band, my old label's profile for Shroud of Bereavement comes up, and I'm now competing with it. Like, I can't send people to iTunes without them seeing that instead of me, you know?
Mm,
So unless you specifically search for the band's, the album titles, you won't be able to get Shroud of Bereavement because it's going to be the one that was on Locomotive / Screaming Ferret back in 2007. So they pretty much own me on that. So I put Alone Beside Her out, our debut album. I put that out by myself on my label, going towards the details on our record contract. Basically, it said I can repress the album as long as it's not the same packaging. That was what the wording was on the contract. So
okay.
finally, I've re-released that album, and I'm planning to take it back. So that's why I just made a video. Which, what I was trying to say, I just cut myself off because I have ADD. But
Sure.
the the album that I just released, I made the video for A Rose for a Dying Muse, which is about my best friend who died. And I took a lot of time. I probably spent 40 hours on that. And it's
Yeah,
coming out this Friday at
cool.
9 a.m.
What
So
goes into because I have absolutely zero clue on this. What goes into creating your own record labels? Is it like something you set up with lawyers and something like that? I have no idea.
you have to, well, you have to go through the legal stuff first. So you send stuff to ASCAP. You have to
Okay.
make a business. So you actually have an LLC. You have to get copyright, do all the copyright stuff. Then there's, you know, obviously promotion and all the visual stuff. You have to get all the artwork and stuff ready to roll and meet all your connections. And I thought it was going to be a lot easier, and I thought I was going to have more time, to be honest, but it's like the last thing I had time for. I don't have a website yet, so I
Right.
can't I can't just say, hey, buy this from my website, because I don't have a website for that. So I'm using Shroud's website, and I haven't got any interest. Nobody's bought anything from me. I don't think anybody even knows what I have, because I don't know how to post everything that I have, because I don't have a website. But I
Right.
have a whole bunch of CDs that I've been trading with other labels over the last 10 years. So I have, you know, brand new CDs that I'm willing to sell or trade with other people. I'll trade with bands, you know, that kind of thing. And I just released my music. So, you know, it's slowly growing.
Yeah. And again, something that takes more time, more money, more
Yeah.
knowledge, learning stuff. I mean, that, wow,
Yeah, it's good though, because I don't really care about other labels anymore. I know what they do. I know what I got from my last couple label deals. I got nothing. I'd rather own my own nothing and get nothing on my own terms,
exactly.
That's,
Yeah.
that's kind of why I started the label. It's like, all right, screw everybody else. I'm going to do this on my terms. And,
Yeah.
and I'm going to help my friends out. Anybody that I know that I like their music and we've been friends. If, I don't want anything from them, I'll just put their music up on my distro page and I'll sell their CDs or whatever. I'm down
Yeah.
just to be part of music. I'm just trying to stay as close to music as I can at this old age,
Yeah. Very cool. Dan, I got a couple questions left for you that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, sort of stream of consciousness.
Sure.
Through all of this, what is something that you thought would be relatively easy but turned out to be extremely difficult? Is there one thing, when I ask that question, is there one thing that immediately jumps in your head?
Probably like 50. Are you saying that like that relates to music or
Yeah, any of this, with the music, the production, was there some going into any of this, you think, oh, this will be kind of easy, and then it turned out to be incredibly hard? What would you say like the number one thing was?
finishing that album, the last one we did? I figured, I had a band behind me. I know the songs in and out. Everything's good to go. And then when the wheels fell off and the band left and the engineer I was working with moved away and I had to do stuff on my own. I've always done stuff on my own, but not to this extent, like I write all the music for the band and do the demos and stuff, but I don't do final production, polished albums from start to finish. And, all that stuff was just so much more work. And then album release, like because it's my label, I didn't have someone doing the artwork for me or any of that. There's just so much stuff tied to doing that last album. It took 10 years of my life, a lot of money, a lot of hours, and it wasn't as easy as I thought.
All right, let's go in the opposite direction then. Was there something you thought, oh shit, I'm never going to get this, this will never happen, this is going to be way too much work, and then it turned out to be fairly easy? Was there anything along the way that turned out,
Yeah,
kind of like,
making
yeah, that was a
videos.
cinch?
Making videos, not that it was easy, but it was fun and I enjoyed it and I was able to do it and I didn't think I could. So like I think I've made 9 or 10 videos now, and I'm working on 2 simultaneously. One's done. The one I'm doing now is the most ambitious video I've ever done, and it's a lot harder than the other ones, but I'm really just enjoying doing it. So I never thought I would even make a video, and it's fun and it's kind of easy. I like it.
Very cool. If someone came to you looking for advice on, recording music, doing a band, making a video, all this stuff, what sort of advice, would you give them to get them rolling? I want to be I want to be an aspiring musician. I want to do this sort of stuff, that sort of do what you're doing. What advice would you give them?
I would say, and it's kind of hypocritical, I would say don't listen to anybody else. Follow your heart. Don't doubt yourself. Do what's inside. Do it for you. Do what's inside your soul. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't care if they don't like what style you're playing, or they don't like your voice, or they don't like this. That it doesn't matter. It's the point of being a musician for me is just releasing the beast that's inside you, whatever it is, the sadness, the sorrow, the happiness. It's about emotion and capturing your emotion and releasing it. So if you know what's in your heart, just let it out, man.
Yeah, very cool. Fascinating stuff to find out everything that is involved in, being in a band and putting out an album, creating a label, down to, like we talked about, getting the CDs pressed, getting the t-shirts, mailing them out, the perils of going to the post office,
So much.
Fascinating conversation. Is there anything we didn't touch on, Dan, that you kind of wanted to talk about? Anything that we didn't hit?
I mean, I'm a talker, man. I could talk all night with you. So I'll just keep on going all night. So I mean, we're talking about the stuff that is important to people, like I don't know where you can go and hear this kind of conversation. I mean, sounds like I was bitching. I wasn't really bitching. It was a cool last, this whole thing was really cool for me. So I wasn't bitching. I hope people don't think of that, but there's just a lot of work and it's just so overwhelming sometimes, but there's always light at the end. So don't give up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So many people think, you pick up a guitar, you learn to play it, you book some gigs, you go out, you put out we're going to record an album, and I don't think they realize the nuts and bolts that come along, that, the turns of the screw that come along with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, but it's fulfilling. It is for sure. Um, I wish the scene was strong like it was back in the 90s. Maybe we could talk a little about that if you want, like the scene overall, the metal scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw, I wish I would have saved it now. Somebody posted on Facebook a question they got to ask Blackie Lawless,
From Wasp.
about, yeah, from Wasp. He talked about, where are all the great frontmen now?
Huh?
And Blackie's like, there aren't any. He's like, it's such a different scene. He said everything sort of died back there in the 90s with Napster, when the labels shut down. He said the labels were horrible. He said basically you were an indentured servant,
Yeah.
but you had artist development. You had, they had avenues to channel you, to develop you. Whereas nowadays, you've got to develop yourself and sell you, they would sell you. You've got to do it all yourself, a la what you're doing, you know? And,
Yeah.
and he lamented the lack of clubs, the lack of a circuit to go out there and hone your chops on, you know?
Yeah. By the day, they're just disappearing. I remember playing so many clubs 10 years ago. They're all gone. I'm just like, wow, that place is gone now.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not a lot of role models. And then at the same time, there's so much competition out there that makes it really hard as well. And everything's kind of stagnating at the same time too. Like everything's kind of sounding the same. It's mixed the same. It's mastered the same levels, same this, same that. So frontmen, I mean, I'll give King Diamond. He's still there. He's still rocking. He's
He
playing
said it,
Sunday.
Blackie said an interesting thing. He said, if you started your career like in the 50s and 60s, which if you did now, you're talking like Paul McCartney, those guys.
Yeah.
He said up until about early 90s, you probably can still go out and pull it off. He said after that, lot tougher road, which you look, your King Diamonds, your Paul McCartneys. He said the only band he listed that was newer was like Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Your Paul McCartneys, these people that are still out there going out and doing it, your Metallicas, were from that era that are
I
still
agree with that.
able to pull it off. Anybody beyond like 93, 94,
It's
where's
definitely
Candlebox?
tough.
Where's Candlebox now? Where's Live? Where's Collective Soul? Where's any of those bands?
Gone with the wind.
Yeah, But talk about your experience. I want to let you go on where you were going with that.
Well, this whole thing was just interesting because the way the scene used to be, and a lot of it's tied into politics, I guess you could say too. I don't want to go political on shit, but a lot of people got divided, like politically first off.
Yeah.
And then it's like everybody's competing now, so they're not helping each other. Like your friend's album comes out, it's like, hey, I'm gonna put it on my page and promote it and help them, spread the word, share, like all that stuff. Like nobody does that anymore. Yeah. Nobody helps each other. Everybody's just more concerned about what's going on in their world. And there's so many deserving great bands out there that are really working hard and giving it all, and people just talk shit about them and snub them just because, I don't know. I guess that's a conversation for another day, because that could go on for hours and hours.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, a lot of people talk about how, it's like you said, there's so much competition, so much music put out, even in the doom genre that you said, wasn't all that big, but there's a ton of bands out there that can. The big thing is you can put yourself out nowadays, and you can have people build yourself up, but at the same time with this freaking social media and everything, one bad post and you're knocked back down as well. You are this generation's winger on Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, seriously. You know, another thing that's weird is the Facebook algorithm. Like everybody
Yes.
thinks, oh, you're on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. But it's like I'll make a post and only 3 people see it. And I have 3,500 followers or friends or whatever you want to call them. Like nobody sees my shit. I don't see their shit. And they're like, hey, did you see my post yesterday? I'm like, no, man, it didn't come up on
Yeah.
my wall. Like you think you're promoting to all these people, and the algorithm makes it so small. The only way you really can do it is if you do the pay ads, and it's all a scam.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
like I did this thing where I was like, all right, I'll try Facebook ads. And they don't really describe what the ad is. It's just like, oh, do you want to push your music? How would you like to do it? Well, yeah. Do you want people to message you? Sure, if they want to, yeah, like okay. And I guess Facebook sent in like it sent just random people that don't know my music, that aren't into heavy metal, even just random like old people and shit, just sent text messages to them. And they read the text message thinking, oh, Shroud of Bereavement, this must be a funeral home or like a grief center or something. And people literally messaged me and said, oh, my grandmother, I watched my husband kill himself in front of me the other day. I got a message that said that. And I'm like,
Oh
holy
my
shit.
God.
What do you like? You know what I mean? Like just by
Yeah.
it blew me away. I was just like, I didn't, and I felt so bad. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. We started talking a little bit and kind of talked for a couple days because I just felt so bad. But like the algorithm is weird. The way
Mm.
it's set up is like they want your money, and then you give them the money, and then they don't even market you to who you paid to get marketed. It's just so bizarre the way just
Yeah.
Facebook is going generally.
Yeah. And I still haven't figured out Twitter. And now with Elon Musk in there, I don't know if I need to.
Oh, me either, man. I don't know how to use it at all. Like
Yeah.
you think it's like Facebook, like, all right, I'll make a post, and like you can't see a thing that says post, and you can't make a profile, and you can't do this. And what the hell do you do when you're on there? I don't know.
Yeah. It's bizarre. I've thrown stuff on there and done nothing. And then I did an interview years back with Dean Castronovo. Somebody put it on Twitter, and all of a sudden my views went up to like an insane amount of numbers.
Really?
Yeah, and I found it on there, and I was like, well, what the hell? I didn't even put it on here. Somebody in some fan group of his shared it there, and it
Isn't that
blew
awesome
up.
though when someone does that?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
blew up.
a couple, I don't know, like maybe 3 months ago, I was just doing a random search trying to find some old images from my band. And something came up like some random dude in England. I don't know who he is. He's not like a known guy. He takes lyrics from musicians, not even just metal, like anybody.
Yes,
And he makes poetry for he'll read your lyrics in like this real poetic way.
right.
And like it blew me away. It was awesome. I was just like, I've never stood outside of myself and heard someone say my lyrics in that way. And it like I saw something completely different than what I had imagined. It was really cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing that post. That was awesome. That was
Yeah.
really
So
awesome.
I think though the Twitter thing, you should look into that, man.
We have to, who
Like we
knows?
should put our heads together and try to find a way to get some more posts to help us out.
There you go. There you go. Oh shit. Well, Dan, this has been, like I say, fascinating. I knew it would be, to hear about everything that goes along with it, and I share your frustration. I do those podcasts. The other day I found out Mixcloud was going to start charging. I have now found an alternative, so I will be
Yeah.
back.
What? Tell me about that real quick. What
Um,
are you doing now?
I found an alternative site. I think it's a site based out of Germany that's
Oh,
sort of along the same lines as Mixcloud and SoundCloud and all them, who now make you pay to, so you can go over X number of posts. And as far as I know right now, this one's still free, and you can kind of stack my shows up, which is the big thing. I wanted them sort of archived.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
well, best
Mixcloud
of
was going
luck,
to
man. That
severely
sounds
limit
awesome.
that. Yeah. So yeah, so I found it. Look for it. I'll make sure and share it to you, and you'll get it.
Yeah, give me the link. I'm gonna put it up too, so people that I know can see it, and
Perfect.
they'll hopefully follow you and on your new platform.
Absolutely. Let's get you out of here with some of my silly questions. Sound good? We'll lighten the mood entirely
I
and
love these.
just do the silly questions. Um, Fastest speed you've ever been in a car
In a car,
or a truck.
in probably a truck because I used to have a an old Dodge. That thing was badass. I was in that thing. I was probably going maybe 110.
Okay, good. That's a good speed. Yep.
A good speed.
we talk about we talked about all the things that you're involved in, you know, with the family and the music and the masonry and everything else. What is a day off? Say, you know, I'm going to take a day off from life. You know, I'm not going to do work. I'm not going to do music. You know, what's something you do to quote unquote relax? You know,
I love getting in bed and going on a Game of Thrones marathon with my wife,
okay.
or you know, any YouTube or Netflix is just watch movies and do nothing, or like get in the car and just go for a ride.
Cool. At 110 miles an hour.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Oh, I like shooting. I like going shooting.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
another thing that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
I
Ever had
live in
any?
100-year-old house.
All right. So they're right there with you.
Yeah,
I think I may have asked you this one last time, but I got to go with it again. Favorite old school wrestler?
you did. No, did you?
I can't remember.
I remember hearing you ask someone the question because I've listened to a few of yours. Um, oh boy, Jake the Snake.
Hey, yeah. Oh, great one. Great one.
Hell yeah.
All right. If you could go back in time and have one of the meals cooked from your childhood, what would you pick?
Wow. Wow.
You know, one of your favorite childhood meals.
Mm. Oh, that's a really good question. There's a lot of good cooking going on. I might have to just go with my mom's smoked shoulder. It's
Yep,
like an Irish.
sure.
Love
The
that.
the boiled dinner type thing with the cabbage and the
Yes,
shoulder and all that. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Give us a memory of something that decorated your teenage bedroom.
Ooh. I had the Somewhere in Time poster. I
Ooh,
had a Manowar poster. I had Slayer posters, King Diamond. I had tapestries all over the place, and I would take out all like one-page ads and stuff from magazines and post them all up in a bunch, like make it all real tight looking. I
like a
still got it in this
collage.
studio. Yeah, yeah, I got
Yeah,
that in the studio too, but not as good.
yeah. Cool. I did the same thing. I got pictures of my teenage bedroom. It's pretty awesome. Uh,
hell,
yeah.
hell yeah.
It was I used to buy 2 copies of Circus and two copies of Hit Parader every month, and one of them was to cut up and take the pictures out. The other one was to read and keep.
Did
Yeah,
you decorate your books like with a paper bag and put band names and shit on them?
absolutely,
Hell yeah,
absolutely.
we all did, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Amazing.
Go to karaoke song.
Oh, I Got Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks.
Really? I
Love it.
never saw that coming.
There's actually, I don't know where, but there's a video of it floating around on the internet, so on YouTube somewhere. My brother's ex-wife filmed me and my brother doing it one night, and it's on there somewhere. It's pretty
Oh
funny.
wow. All right. Favorite cartoon character?
Hmm. Favorite. Jeez. Well, it would have to be a Transformer, one of the Decepticons.
Okay.
I don't know.
What is one basic item that you always carry with you?
Cell phone for sure, but that's an
Yeah.
easy one. Pocket knife.
Okay. All right. What's something you splurge the most money on?
Oof. Besides music, I would say silver lately. I've been buying lots of silver.
Lots of silver.
Mhm.
Okay. Last one. We'll make this a fun one. We'll make it sort of a one to make you think.
Okay.
Would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors, or forward in time and meet your great 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 grandchildren?
Oh wow. That's an excellent question. That's like you know, trying to figure out what the universe is. It's one of those
Yeah,
very deep questions.
yeah.
I think I would rather see my daughter's kids.
I
Future.
had I had one guy say he picked that as well. He said, I'd like to see if I got it right, if anything I did carried forward to those future generations, you know, to sort of validate, you know, things for
Absolutely,
him.
man. Who knows what, my nephew's nieces, daughter, all the kids, what they kind of made with their lives and what came
Yeah,
out of them and them. That's crazy. I've
yeah,
never thought of that. You just like put a brand new thought in my head that I never thought about. Like 10 generations from now, what the hell is going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Something to write a song about.
I think you just might have inspired me, son.
Well, Dan, this has been a lot of fun. I knew it was going to be fascinating, and wish you the most luck and success in the future. I don't, you don't need luck. What is the one thing I put up? If you, oh shit, let me find the picture here. It's something about if you persevere and adapt and overcome, you become what other people consider lucky.
Huh. Those are
You know,
words of wisdom, Lloyd.
have you ever heard that?
No, I like it
No.
though.
Yeah, I wish I could find it. Oh God, I'm looking for it on my computer and I don't have it. If I can find it, I'll post it to your page. It's really, really basically, if you adapt, overcome, improvise, and go through everything, you become what other people refer to as lucky. So,
Wow.
and I think you're one of those guys who's going to adapt and improvise and overcome, and I think I know you're going to be successful. So, I
Deep,
appreciate your time.
Deep Thoughts by Lance Hall. Hey, I want to say best of luck to you, man. I see you every day grinding, and you're doing a great job. Don't give up on your stuff. I won't give up on mine.
There we go.
And yeah, I hope everything works with this new platform. And you have such a great personality, and I think I really appreciate you taking the time.
And I appreciate you
Thank you
taking
so
the time
much.
as well, brother. Tell us again, new videos coming out Friday morning, 9 a.m. Going to be on your social media, YouTube, the Shroud of Bereavement YouTube page as well.
Yes, it'll be everywhere.
Okay.
Then the next video should be out in like probably a month after that as well. So that'll be
Excellent.
an actual new song that's coming on the thing
All
there.
right. Looking forward to it, my friend.
Cool, man. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too,
Great
Dan.
talking.
Take care.